after years of giving us great content from behind the scenes and not really getting much of the love, the Writers Guild of America has gone on strike. So they're looking for basically fair compensation for the work they've been doing. Writing has turned into a gig instead of a full-time job. Basically, you bust out a show in 8 to 10 weeks, then you get laid off until the next show hires you. Like this writer got $43,000 to write The Bear, which is that hit show on Hulu. And after paying his agent and, taxes, he basically said he would have made more money working in the restaurant on the show than actually writing it. So,
God.
And they're looking for, all they want is 2% of all of Hollywood's income. And they basically told him to fuck off. You can't get 2%. So it's a mess. And I understand where the writers are coming from. They should be full-time employees. You don't just write a script. I mean, there's so many rewrites and changes, you can't just go off in the original. You need the writers around during the process.
Yeah. It's more to it than them just writing a story, like you said. And they hire, intern writers, and they usually have a full gang of writers. It's not just one or two. They have a team usually. They hire, they all bounce stuff off of each other and whatnot, and it forms a more efficient kind of work, and there's more input and there's better ideas thrown out there, yada, 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 to where now, it seems like they're just trying to they're just cutting down as many writers as they have to pay. So they're just doing the bare minimum amount of writers on a project. And obviously, again, I'm still not fully aware of how the whole situation works, but it goes to show we've seen it. We've seen it in a lot of the MCU and some other stuff recently over the last couple of years where it's it just feels like the writing's lazy. And maybe this has been a reason for it. Maybe it's because writers are being, pay cuts, thinking they can get more and more out of less and less pay for them. And it's starting to show. It is funny because it's Hollywood writers who are kind of, they're doing the protest and the strike and stuff. And part of me is majority of America is struggling paycheck to paycheck and probably would like to go on strike for better pay for them as well. But a lot of people just can't afford to not work and to do that. They just straight can't support living. Not to say some writers aren't going on a limb and doing that, even though they can't support their lifestyle. But I think it just speaks to a whole bigger problem across the country. But now this writer's strike is, making noise about it. But super interesting. It just sucks selfishly that a lot of our shows are going to be affected.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to more delays. Ever since COVID, it's the norm now. And we're over COVID and now this. And it's just everything that we're looking forward to is probably going to get delayed. It sounds like, right? Because everything's just stopped. Unless it's already fully written, from what I understand.
It's confusing. I do have a list, though.
Yeah, I figured you did. What do we got?
So, as of now, House of the Dragon and Rings of Power are good to go.
Yes, good.
Stranger Things and Last of Us have been delayed. Along with A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, Blade, and Severance, which is an Apple TV show. Daredevil Born Again was halted for a day, I guess. They stopped production for a day and then went right back at it. So, hey.
Okay.
And the Superman script was turned in a week before the strike, which...
Games.
But that means, will they ever be able to write another script? Are they going to film this movie off of his first draft?
See, again, that's the complexity behind this stuff is you think the final script is done and we're good, but majority of this stuff out there has rewrites at points. They make adjustments and stuff. And you mentioned Stranger Things, and apparently they finished writing already for the final season, but the Duffer Brothers said writing does not stop when filming begins. While we're excited to start production with our amazing cast and crew, it is not possible during this strike. So you hear that, and I heard before, House of the Dragon, it's done. It's already written. But then you hear a comment like that, and it's okay, but is it going to end? Are they going to need to make a rewrite or something and be like, we can't now. We got to delay it. So I feel like we're not out of the woods with House of the Dragon yet. Or Rings of Power.
And Star Wars, it seems to be good to go. Ahsoka and Acolyte, I guess they're good. They seem like they're already... Ahsoka's done, basically. Acolyte's halfway through filming. Should be good. But Andor... Tony Gilroy was going to say fuck it, and then I think someone that works on the show called him out on Twitter So he stopped the next day after getting called out by another worker. So he had to stop. But the other two are fine. Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that, Tony. I do appreciate that. Another interesting aspect to this that I saw was AI. AI is playing a large role in this whole deal going on too, because I forget which writer it was, and I think it was on the Lebitard show. I think it was one of the writers on there, but they're like, yeah, of course you're going to have these cop shows that we've been seeing for decades that are pretty much copy and paste storylines. They're not great acting. They're just cop shows that keep busting out, or NYPD Blue, or whatever the case. He's like, yeah, AI, sure, they can make shows like that. Like, they can rely on a lot of that, and they'll probably get the same type of quality, but you're not going to get actual projects with heart and everything behind it with this AI. But these big, executives think they can, and so they're using that as like a threat. Like, AI can do your job, why would we pay you more, kind of deal. So we're already hitting that point. ChatGPT just blew up, really. Like, AI has been around for a while, but ChatGPT completely changed everything. It's completely changed what AI is, and people still don't even freaking fully understand it. I don't like it, but it just, artists were already freaking out about it. Well, now we have all this AI art coming, and at first they couldn't draw fingers, and now AI is learning how to finally put fingers and stuff on these art. But the point is, they're improving day in and day out, and I didn't think it was going to be this quick that we saw professions striking due to AI. It happened in a matter of months. I mean, it's wild since ChatGPT broke onto the scene.
Yeah, last time there was a writer's strike, it was a vast abundance of reality TV shows. There's a lot of crap they put out last time, so get ready for some, Housewives and
She-Hulk.
But actually, speaking of She-Hulk, before we wrap it up, there was some Marvel Studios let us know today that Loki drops on October 6th, and all episodes of Echo drop on November 29th. So we are getting 3 shows this year, with Secret Invasion coming out next month. Not bad. I do like Echo dropping all at once. That seems like a good idea for that show.
I was just going to say, I'm excited to just binge Echo. From a business perspective, though, it doesn't make much sense. I feel like you just keep the hype rolling if you have a week-by-week discussion. So, but at the same time, you might get people just to get the complete story and just love it because they're binging it, and you see the conclusion, and it's probably going to be some kind of big conclusion leading into Daredevil or something to do with Kingpin or a lot of that New York drama that's building.
Yeah, it's supposed to be very tightly woven in with the whole Daredevil situation. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you have to wonder why. Why are they doing this? It's very rare. Again, I'm not mad about it. I love that. Like you said, we'll binge it real quick, and maybe the first 2 episodes are just so slow and they don't hook you that they're worried they're going to lose everybody if they do it week by week and they just have a really weak start. Like, I don't know. It's an odd choice, though.
Welcome back to Why So Sidious podcast, and thank you for joining us. Today we're mixing it up with our 5 least favorite Marvel movies. From there, we will release 5 more periodically until we reach our 5 favorite Marvel movies. But today we focus on the bottom of the barrel. In our respective opinions, this has less to do with technically good or bad movies and more to do with our general enjoyment, or in this case, our lack thereof. Do not forget to follow us on social media, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram at WhySoCidiusPod. Send us an email at whysocidious@yahoo.com. Interact with us. Check out what we're throwing on there. And some program reminders. We have our Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 review out. Show some Mando finale some love. The season might have sucked, but the finale was fun, and we had a fun time discussing it. Don't give up on Mando yet. We also got a Star Wars May the 4th special out, a lot of fun Star Wars topics. Finally got Infinity, Part 1 of Hickman's Avengers on our Road to Secret Wars series. Look out for our ranking of the MCU trilogies. Spoiler alert, the Guardians of the Galaxy is going to rank really high. And so here we go, let's get into it. We're going to start with a couple of our absolute least favorite movies. I know it's mine. It is my least favorite Marvel movie. At the bottom of the list, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Don't dislike it. It's fine. It's still a Marvel movie, even though it's the worst Marvel movie a bad Marvel movie is still pretty fun to watch, you know. I just didn't care about it. I just didn't care where they were going with it. I didn't really care about the story. I'm not a Hank Pym fan. I don't like the character. I don't really like how he's acted. He's probably doing a good job acting. I just don't like the character that much, and they spend a lot of time with him. Hope's Wasp action scenes were actually really cool. I'll give her that. But Paul Rudd was kind of pushed to the side. He didn't do a lot. Him and the agent from WandaVision,
I thought it was Jimmy Chang or something, but
Jim. I'll just call him Fake Jim.
yeah, from
Jim from The Office.
From the Office. He's actually he's in The Office.
Him and Paul Rudd have really good scenes together, and I do like Ghost. Honestly, I like the villain Ghost. But overall, the
Jimmy
movie,
Woo.
Sorry, no, you're good. Close. Thank you. I just don't care. Yeah, didn't really tie into a lot of cool stuff, except of course he ends up in the quantum realm. But then again, a rat brings him back, so it's just like whatever. So yeah, I just don't care. I don't like really rewatching it. I gave it a shot today, and it does have a little bit of that Marvel thing that makes it watchable. I mean, it's watchable, but yeah, don't like it. So, Dave, what do you think of Ant-Man and the Wasp No, just Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. No, I actually liked this one on my first watch, and every time I've watched it since, I like it less and less. And I think mainly because first watch was in theaters. It was a new Marvel movie. So every time, like you said, we're always hyped for that. And I had fun watching it in theaters. I'll just go with the pluses real quick that I enjoyed out of it. I thought Wasp's action scenes, the few that she did have, were dope. I thought her running on the knife blade and doing the phaser blasters and all that stuff, I thought it was solid. The VFX was very good with the shrinking and growing. It had Paul Rudd in it, so that's always a plus, even though, he was probably involved the least out of all three movies in this one. It felt like he had less screen time possibly. But that's pretty much my main positives coming out of it. There just wasn't really a lot to it. Like you said, like the plot, not a lot happened. It was about Ghost, and she was an all right, side character that kind of explained certain aspects of the quantum realm and the rules of it a little bit. But there wasn't a lot to it. It focused way too much time on Walton Goggins and his criminal crew and everything going on behind that, and which was really just comic relief. And the truth serum stuff was kind of funny. Again, it was funny, but there just wasn't a lot to it. There wasn't a lot to write home about, and the plot itself was just meh.
I will say that I am excited to see Ghost as a part of the Thunderbolts because it's a fun, unique character. I like to see how that could fit into a better story.
Is that happening still?
I think she's officially on the Thunderbolts from one of those photos they dropped.
Okay, it's been so confusing.
Yeah, this is my second to last movie. I remember I've only seen this one time in theaters, and I probably will never see it again. But I remember going into this movie just for the post-credit scene, and that's basically all I took away from it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say they got snapped away. Yeah, they got snapped away, and he's stuck in the quantum realm. But the quantum realm isn't explained very well, and like how Janet survived and aged. And I did write these notes before I saw Quantumania, but still, it stands for the Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Still worked. Yeah, they didn't really explain much. Still,
I was just going to say after Quantumania, it almost made it worse seeing Janet like just not talk about Kang the whole time, and I'm like,
right. Actually, yeah.
Well, and what's Ghost's deal? She was in the quantum realm. Now it was the explosion, and so she phases
her
in
parents.
And stuff. That's right. Okay, yeah.
All right, let's move on to Thor 1 because I think it's on two of our lists. Yeah. Thor is my third least favorite movie, so I'm down to talk about it now. Dave, where's it on your list?
Thor 1 is my third lowest, which, I forgot to totally mention. Ant-Man and the Wasp was my fifth lowest, so it was...
Okay.
It almost made it out of this list, but it's in here. Before a certain movie came out, Thor 1 was pretty close to last on my list, and it was that and Captain America, which we'll get to. But the reason why Thor beat out Captain America a little bit was because it was a unique kind of story. Yeah, it was kind of corny and campy at points with the whole, I don't know, the whole way Thor acted. I didn't like Thor himself that much in it, but it was a unique kind of different type of fantasy story told off Earth on Asgard on this new planet. It was beautiful. I mean, the CGI and the VFX were beautiful of Asgard and everything. The Dutch angles was a little much, but I liked the story with Loki and his conflict with being adopted and the destroyer of Asgard. We got to see the Rainbow Bridge for the first time. I mean, it really opened up the universe, the galaxy of the MCU a lot, obviously. It was the first time we really branched out of Earth. So that was in itself valuable. But I just, as an origin, I don't know. I didn't think it was great. Again, it was just kind of corny the whole time for me. It was just too much. It was like they were just trying way too much. There were just way too many Dutch angles. Like I said, this is my least favorite Thor by a mile and a half. I can't stand his bleached beard and the way I don't know. I didn't enjoy him like at all in this movie. And it just felt like a Shakespeare series is the best way I can put it. So it didn't land with me.
Yeah, I already don't like stories where the hero loses their power. Like the movies are different from other movies because they have powers, and especially Thor. He's not that interesting of a character unless he has his powers. Like Thor is Thor, and he has the power of freaking Thor. We want thunder, like epic space battles. Yeah, we want some Mjolnir. Like this is a Norse god. We want to feel like he's a Norse god, not Blake Donald, the most boring side character alter ego in any comic story. I'm not a big Blake Donald fan. Or it's Donald Blake.
Donald Blake, yeah.
Yeah. With that said, I actually liked Thor's acting without his powers. He was kind of funny, like walking through, like he did the whole Wonder Woman being very oblivious to social cues or just socializing in society in general. Like when he's done with his cup of coffee, I'll have another. Slams it down. That's fun. Walks into the pet store, looking for a horse, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that scene was hella funny.
Yeah. But the third act I didn't like. Him and Loki fighting it just looked like a couple kids dressing up playing fight on Halloween. It really did not do much for me. I actually really did like how they introduced Hawkeye, though. I like that phase 1 thing where they just put Black Widow and Iron Man and put Hawkeye into Thor. That was a really cool way to bring Hawkeye into the MCU. And I loved the Frost Giant battle. That opened up the movie to some really cool action. Some of the best action, but overall it's just boring. For me, it just doesn't work as a Thor movie. That's not what I want out of Thor, so I'm not a fan of rewatching this one. I just like watching the opening scene and then shutting it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This movie is not in my bottom 5, but it will be featured very soon.
Okay, let me go back to 10.
In our top 5 Marvel movies list.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to Captain America, the first Avenger. Captain America 1, which is not on my bottom 5 at all, and it is on Caleb and David. So, Caleb, let's throw it to you. Where does Captain America fit on your list, and what do you think about it? Is there anything you like about it?
Get him.
So also, I'll talk about the things I like first. So I do like Red Skull. Hugo Weaving obviously kills any role he does. He's great at it. Chris Evans, like midway through the movie, kind of, I start to really kind of get onto his character. It takes a while though, because skinny CGI Chris Evans is weird. It's, like Dave said, it's campy. Like Marvel is still trying to find their footing in this. It's what the third right after Thor, right? Third movie, or is Iron Man 2?
Iron Man Incredible 2. Hulk, Thor, and then this. I think
it was the last
Incredible
one.
Hulk barely counts.
I don't count Incredible Hulk. Is that in your guys' list?
Yeah, it's on my rankings list.
Not bottom 5.
Oh, no, it's not. I need to add that.
God.
And the scientist plot is basically just like Iron Man. Like this nice scientist basically shows him his powers, or it builds him a suit and then dies, leading him to his, his character, his hero's moment, whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it's just strong finish, strong dismount. Oh God. Yeah. So I like had an unreasonable hatred for this movie for a while. I don't even know why. I just it bothers me. It just bothers me. I just don't like it. And I think maybe I started leaning into that personality of mine of just, I'm a guy who does not like that movie. I don't know. It just Loki. No, I'll start off with some of the pros. This is actually where it goes bad. Because again, I took these notes a while ago when we were starting to plan this episode. And I have the first note for pros is just, it had fun war scenes at points. And that's it for that note. Like that in itself, that I wrote that as a note shows that I didn't have a ton of stuff that I loved about this movie. I thought Tommy E. Lee Jones was a really nice side character in it. I thought he played a little small role well. And they did do a solid job at setting up the relationship of Bucky and Steve, which goes on to play a really, really major role in the MCU, obviously. Right. I mean, Civil War, everything leading through that. So this did a good job at setting that up. It was the first mention of an Infinity Stone, really, that we got. We got the Tesseract. We got a cool kind of mythology background to the Tesseract and this crazy Hitler-esque character. But it was too campy. Loki basically acted out the entire movie in the two scenes from Avengers and Thor the Dark World, where he pretends to be Captain America and walks around hella campy and is like, I'm about freedom. It was like that's essentially what happens throughout the whole first movie. And it's crazy because Cap ends up being one of my favorite MCU characters, but I just wasn't doing it for me. The CGI, when I first watched the CGI as him as a skinny kid, it didn't bother me at all. Now, every time I go back, it's like, okay, yeah, this looks unsettling, to put it lightly. But I don't know. It's just too simplistic of a story with a lot of campy stuff, played out themes, wannabe Nazis. It just didn't land for me. And it felt like the tone of the campiness clashed with the plot, which should have been pretty dark with the, Hitler-esque character getting the power of a god. And it felt like half the movie was Steve doing his Bond's performances on stage. It felt like it took an hour to actually get anywhere past him doing the campy ass stuff on stage, which was barely less campy than the rest of the movie. So it's the definition of this style of movie didn't land for me.
Yeah, right when he gets his powers, they're about to go to war, then he just starts doing stage shows for propaganda. That was such a boner kill when you're watching that movie. Big time.
Not for him, bro. He hooked up with Marjorie Tyrell and possibly Peter Quill's mom. Easter eggs.
It worked out for him in the long run. I also didn't believe the 4 story-sized tanks that were running buildings over, like, in the 40s. That was weird.
Oh, yeah. That was a weird aspect. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. But what does it for me is definitely the mythology, because Red Skull's talking about Odin and the Tesseract and Asgard and the Infinity Stone thing. And the end credit scene, which I thought was one of the coolest end credit scenes. What a way to start.
A trailer?
Yeah.
A trailer?
Remind me.
He wakes up in the present and then meets Nick Fury.
Oh.
And they set it up as if they set up an environment that looked like it was the 40s.
Yeah, and wasn't there a second one? And it was that scene of the Avengers where he's punching
no, it's a trailer.
Bag?
It's a trailer.
It's a full-on trailer?
It's a trailer for the Avengers.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
What? That's awesome.
So that led
look.
Go ahead.
Oh, just looking back, it does kind of set a lot of things up. Like you said, Red Skull, Bucky, and even Peggy, where you get, the last scene in Endgame is that dance that he never got to, give her. But him, also one of the problems, does he really need to sacrifice himself at the end? Like, you could definitely jump out of the ship. Jump out of the ship
that
as it's crashing.
Scene. Have you seen that deleted scene with Rhodey?
No.
Like, there's a deleted scene. It's Infinity War, and they're like staring at a screen. He's like, so you crashed the whole plane. Steve's all dramatic. He's like, yeah, had bombs heading towards the U.S. I had to set it down. He's like, and you couldn't have just like set the plane up and jumped out before it crashed. And then it's just, I think it cuts to black after that. Like, so he just calls him out on why he sacrificed himself in a deleted scene out of Infinity War or Endgame, one of the two. It's
no wonder they cut it. They can't leave that in the movie.
That's a what if episode for you. What if you just jumped out and survived and lived throughout up until the 2000s?
Hydra would probably take him over.
Stop the Vietnam War.
Okay, let's move on to Black Widow. This is my second least favorite Marvel movie. And it just for the same reasons, I just didn't care. And she just died in Infinity War. It's not continuing anything. The one thing I thought they might do is establish more of the political climate on Earth, like where things were going politically right before the snap. And they didn't do that. I was thinking Thunderbolts or Sokovia Accords or Superhero Registration. It was just a kind of a random movie that I feel like didn't need to take place. Then again, we haven't seen her sister's really story arc yet. Once Thunderbolts comes out, Black Widow might get a lot better because we could see how certain seeds were planted with
Yelena.
Mm-hmm. But as of right now, I have no interest in rewatching it, which is kind of my primary way to score these things. Pros, David Harper's a good pro. The action choreography was pretty solid, and Taskmaster was a cool villain. A little underused, very underused, but again, she's going to be in Thunderbolts also, and her story that movie might be a lot better if you have a lot of cool Taskmaster and Yelena stuff. But for now, second to last.
Is Taskmaster in Thunderbolts?
I think so.
Nice. Okay. I like the character too. I get it. I'll just say this real quick. I get it. People were pissed because in the comics, Taskmaster he has a very big personalady. Like he has a big mouth. Like it's almost like the X-Men Origins where they took the mouth away from Wade Wilson, and people were like, he's known as a merc with the mouth and you made him unable to speak. It's similar to that, but I still enjoyed it. I thought her action scenes were awesome, and I still love the concept of the character, so I'm still excited to see more. But yeah, there was that.
Taskmaster is even in the Spider-Man game, and all he does is talk shit and make you do challenges.
That's Taskmaster, bro.
Yeah,
he's got a big personality, so it's weird to do that to the character. But the thing about Black Widow is this. If it released in Phase 3 directly after Civil War, this would not be in my bottom 5. I'm telling you right now, it just wouldn't. It's my 4th to last, so it just barely made it into this list. But the problem is when you have that and we know what's going to happen, so there's no stakes. When you have a movie in that type of situation, you have to nail the story. You have to nail the writing. Like you have to make that better than anything that has stakes to it because you have to make up for that. And they just didn't do that. So again, if the stakes were there and we didn't know, this for sure would have been out of my top 5 because I've rewatched it a few times. I don't mind rewatching it. There's some really cool action scenes. I love ScarJo. I love the Black Widow character. I love Yelena. Yelena's awesome, and I'm super excited to see her more going forward. And yeah, David Harbour's great too. So,
and that's a double baby.
Double baby. Except R.I.P. Natasha, aka ScarJo. She ain't coming back. But we got Yelena. We got Florence Pugh. But anyways, it just that was the main issue.
Well, I totally agree with you that they should have switched Captain Marvel and Black Widow. Black Widow was already established. She deserved her own movie before her death. Captain Marvel was a new character, and her role in Endgame is only showing up at the end and blowing up Thanos' ship and then carrying the gauntlet for a second, and fighting him. But that could have easily been... And she got a haircut, but she didn't need to be in that movie. Give Black Widow a movie, and then we would have, the stakes would have been higher because we don't know she dies, right after this.
During so that the movie was, fall, or even that,
it just, the whole movie seemed pointless.
Yeah.
It's almost like they did it just to throw Scarlett Johansson a bone. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but yeah, it's like, look, we need to give her a movie. She deserves it. She's been here the whole time. And
in a mean way for Marvel treating her, not our opinion, their opinion.
Was that after the whole suing thing?
No, that was because of the movie.
Because of it.
Because of COVID and the Disney Plus.
Yeah, because she didn't get enough money. They were supposed to
do a movie with her.
Yeah, from the box office or the lack thereof. Because the shit shut down. But they promised her a certain amount, from what I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, like $50 million she got screwed out of essentially because they lied about releasing it straight to Disney Plus instead of leaving it in theaters the whole time. So they lost out on hella profit to it. And they had agreed a while ago that they were going to do a movie with her, and they never did it. So they did this last minute thing, and then it was just you already missed the opportunity, and it just wasn't a great fixing attempt.
Yeah. One I'm very excited to hear Dave rant about. Let's go to Thor 4, which is on, it's David's least favorite, and it's on Lub's list. So it's not on my bottom 5, so I'll open the floor to you guys. Rip it apart, Dave.
Let's Dave cook.
Oh, I was going to let you go first, Lub, but that's chill.
Yeah, my thoughts on this movie are let Dave cook.
Pressure's on now. This is my least favorite movie in the MCU. It was the movie, as mentioned previously, that surpassed Captain America. So this is actually the last movie I have on my list. So I'll just give little thoughts and stuff on your guys' next ones. But Thor 4, Love and Thunder, least favorite Marvel movie. I'm going to start off with something that people bring up a lot with this movie, and it's, why do you hate this movie so much? Ragnarok did the same thing, and you loved that. And here's my deal real quick with that. One of the reasons why this kind of movie worked for me with Ragnarok, but did not work for me here, can be explained by a famous controversial movie quote that says, in a slightly less offensive way, you went full stupid. You don't go full stupid. And this movie felt like full stupid the whole time. Ragnarok, we got this humor, which, by the way, was fresh humor. We'd never really been exposed to this type of Taika humor in the MCU before. It was funny. It was new. Yes, Thor was pretty stupid at the beginning of it. Yes, he was screaming like a little girl when Stanley was cutting his hair. He knocked himself out with a ball. So he had dumb moments in the movie. But he also beat Gladiator Hulk in a one-on-one. He also discovered his power within him. After losing Mjolnir, he discovered this massive power inside of him that he didn't have to have this hammer, and that it was a massive character arc for him. He went from he transformed into a different, awesome, powerful character by the end of this movie. By the end of Ragnarok, he's coming in with full lightning powers, with Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song playing as he just tears through people on a bridge. And it's just this badass Thor. The entire time he talked to Hela, he cracked a little bit of humor, but it was intimidating the whole time. It was like serious Thor. It was like, oh, dude, this is the Thor I can get behind. Like, he's ready to go. It totally did something different with him. And it felt like Love and Thunder totally leaned on just all of the humor. And he just felt like an idiot throughout the whole movie. He's riding his broom around. Single thing he does is a joke. All the kids are scared, and he's just cracking jokes about, well, you're going to die, but you'll go to Valhalla. And the jealousy with the hammer and everything. Points were funny, but it was overplayed too. And Stormbreaker just stops working just so Thor can crash through the bridge when he went to take off, but no explanation given as to why Stormbreaker just only didn't work there. And it's just, there was a lot of lazy stuff. They threw away a lot of his character arc from Infinity War and Endgame. He went through so much trauma, and they did this massive thing with his character. And then 90% of this movie is just stupid Thor. The only time he was competent is when he was fighting Gore for about 4 minutes on screen total. He was competent then, which thank God. And yes, every mission was accomplished at the end, strictly because they wrote it that way, though. Thor was bumbling through every single thing until the final fight with Gore in every part of the movie, it felt like. And it was arguably, in my opinion, the worst treatment of an MCU character since the Hulk in Infinity War. It just totally changed who we saw in Infinity War as Thor. And by the end of it, the last 2 minutes, they did the thing. He gets the daughter. Now he's maturing again, and he's starting a new character development. But that was out of nowhere, too. The Gore thing, him being this massive god who's butchering everybody, and he hates Thor, and then all of a sudden he's like, okay, I'll die, and you can raise my daughter. What? He finally completed his goal and got to eternity, and now he's just like, cool, my enemy, yeah, raise my daughter. I'm going to die here. It didn't feel earned at all. So this massive development for Thor felt lazy and rushed just to be at that point at the end of the movie. The God Butcher is on screen for 6 minutes, and he kills one god, and it was pretty quick in the first scene of the movie, which that was cool, but like, so that's the other thing, is you wasted what could have been one of the dopest characters in the MCU. Christian Bale's Gore could have been freaking insane, and you just ruined it. You just ruined the opportunity. So that's an unforgivable sin as it is. But all the thing they did with Thor, it just, I could rant on this movie. I didn't even write prose, I just realized. But the last thing I'll say is I went back to Disney Plus to watch this thinking I usually can appreciate more. It was the expectations. I came into this with high expectations, and they killed my expectations. It was such a disappointment. So going into Disney Plus, I thought I'll like it more. There's no expectations. I somehow ended up liking it less. I found more stuff wrong with it on my rewatch on Disney Plus, and was like, okay, this is it. This is my least favorite MCU movie. So yeah, that's my rant. Time. Go ahead.
Yeah, this and Black Widow are definitely the two most pointless movies in the MCU. Like Thor could have been good after Endgame. Like I didn't need to see him again. I would have liked to see him in Guardians of the Galaxy like they kind of teased, but you could tell they just like I've never been so turned off by a creator before after loving him so much. Like it was like Taika's going to do Star Wars and that'll be amazing and all this, and now it's like, yeah, actually, I'm with Kathleen Kennedy on this one. Like, Taika can get out of there. And with Christian Bale, they wasted a top 5 actor of all time,
bro.
Like, oh, yeah, it's in the bottom 5 for me for sure. I watched on Disney Plus too, and definitely I liked it. I think I liked it a little bit more because I already knew what was coming. I was ready for it. But yeah, still didn't enjoy it.
Dude, imagine hiring Leonardo DiCaprio or Daniel Day-Lewis and then putting him on screen for 6 minutes. Like,
yeah,
you've got him into the MCU. Use him. Sorry, I'm done.
Yeah. Wasted a top 10 Thor comic, too. I can't tell if this movie's... All right, I think it's just not in my bottom 5 because of how terrible it is. I could rewatch it because it is entertaining. Like, it is entertaining enough to watch. It's a train wreck. And
okay.
I could put it on and be entertained more so than a Black Widow or something like that. Okay, let's stick with Thor and throw it to let's throw it to Lub for Thor 2, which is a bottom 5 for Lub.
Is this on who else? Is anyone else have this on the list?
No, narrowly escaped my list, actually. I actually enjoy this one the more I watch it.
Why are there so many shoes in here? Love them.
So this is my 3rd least favorite movie in the MCU. And it's slightly different from the first one. You get your elves instead of frost giants. But basically, he goes against Odin again. So they are trying to, retracing steps from the first movie. And he misses Jane when he was literally just on Earth for Avengers. Probably could have, saw her then. And then he gets sent through a portal straight into the plot of the movie. And honestly, Heimdall should be fired for just letting all that happen. Like, you're supposed to be the seer of all things, and these elves just attack Asgard. Like,
to be fair, he did see one of the invisible ones and took a ship down by himself. I thought that was kind of impressive, but...
Okay. And, this is the problem in the MCU. It's like, where are the Avengers? The end of reality is at stake here. Like, they're fighting on Earth, and this massive ship shows up. And this is right after the Avengers takes place. And this is happening in what, New Mexico? Where's London?
London for, Thor 2.
Okay. That's the question you always ask. Like, where is, Captain America and Tony Stark for this? And I'm not familiar with the comics, but the elves were definitely wasted, and the bland, kind of straightforward evil guys trying to take over the world.
Oh, Malekith was wasted. He's such a sick villain.
Yes. But a couple pros. I do like Thor and Loki. You get a lot of Thor and Loki in this movie, which I like. And the Loki prison scene when he's hiding, being upset. And, when they walk away and it's all destroyed and he's just like, his mom just died. Of course, he's going to be upset, but he's hiding it because that's what Loki would do. I do like that. That's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie, but it's not that great. And it's Loki faking his death again at the end.
Classic
Loki.
It was only his second time doing that, I think. The Loki and Thor stuff is the reason why this isn't in my bottom 5. It was enough for me where I loved it. I felt like we got almost the most we've gotten for their relationship building in a single project. So I really liked this movie mainly because of that reason. I actually kind of like the ending fight scene too. I thought it was kind of entertaining. It's not great, but it's entertaining.
Yeah. No, I like this movie more than most. I enjoy it every time I watch it. Malekith is cool. Loki and Thor have really cool stuff. Thor's pretty funny in a couple things. He's like, Darcy's like, how's space? Space is fine.
Yeah.
And then
space is fine.
Yeah, seeing all the shoes. Why are there so many shoes in here? I like the trick they played when Thor and Loki are going to meet for the Infinity Stone, and it's Loki cuts his arm off and kicks him down the hill, and it turns out like that was a fake thing to get him in so they could attack him or whatever. I like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
it wasn't critically acclaimed. Like
right.
a lot of people did not like it. It's pretty much an identical. I shouldn't have done this. I was curious. I was checking the ratings real quick, and I went to Rotten Tomatoes, which is, the worst people in the world. But Dark World and Love and Thunder got pretty much identical ratings on both sides of things.
Oh
yeah. And this is a better movie than that. It still feels like an MCU movie. And I like that scene too with Loki in his cage after they tell him that his mom just died. He acts like everything's fine, and they walk away, and you could just see his anger, and all the furniture in the room just goes poltergeist and smashes, and you see how much he cares for his mom. Let me just apologize ahead of time for what is my fourth least favorite Marvel film. That's Doctor Strange. I'm sorry.
What?
Look, it's just rewatchability for me. It doesn't do much. I don't like how I like Benedict Cumberbatch as an actor a lot, but I don't buy him as Doctor Strange. I kind of don't. I don't know what it is. I did when it was actually that evil Doctor Strange from Multiverse of Madness. I think he plays a better kind of twisted dude like that. I don't know. Something about him as Doctor Strange doesn't work. Just feels like a general origin story. But at the same time, I can enjoy rewatching it every now and then because I like Mads Mikkelsen and I like the Ancient One. I really like the trippy things he goes to when he starts opening his mind. But I just don't care that much. And I never really felt like Dormammu was going to make it past out of this movie. The Dormammu visuals didn't really work for me. Mordo is good. But I just, like I said, rewatchability is a big thing for me. And I just really don't ever have an interest to put this on. Oh, and I will say about the comics, Doctor Strange is just so much more badass in the comics. And it made me kind of expect something at least more towards that. Like he's like a demonic, intense figure that's always just doing this deep, dark stuff to get the job done. And that's just, it's kind of a Disney-fied Doctor Strange. And so it's not a bad movie. Overall, I still like the movie. It's a well-done movie, good origin story. I just don't want to rewatch it.
So before I lashed out at you, that was actually the first thing I was going to ask you is, do you think that a little bit of the reason why it didn't really hit for you is because you were already used to the comic Strange, which is way different, way darker.
Yeah.
No. But he is, dude, because I didn't read any of his before I saw the movie, but I have since. And bro, oh my God, it's dark. Like his character is not a light, humorous character. He is very serious. There's a lot of demonic, dark stuff going on in everything he's involved with. Like, so yeah, so that is.
Yeah, no, I don't think he does I don't think he does the good comic Doctor Strange. However, I think he's getting better. I liked him more in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. He was more believable and closer to that get shit done Doctor Strange. So I have a feeling he's going to continue to get better because he's a great actor.
So I'm probably going to get ripped by you or comic readers. But yeah, I had literally like the vice versa type deal. I watched the movie. I liked Benedict Cumberbatch's performance. I was like, that was great. And then I read the comics and I was like, this isn't Benedict. This is way too dark for me. I'm not crazy about this character because it's just totally polar opposites. But
so this movie, you won't hear about this movie for a while when it comes to my list, but he has a lot of character growth for an origin story, like who he is in the beginning to who he is at the end of the movie. Like he's this badass doctor, he's the shit. And then he basically has to start over. And he's this like, looks like a homeless man trying to find some, guy to go to this secret sorcerer's doctor, to get his hands back. And he just, once he gets there, he thinks, he can just figure it out in a minute. And it's probably one of my favorite origin stories in all of MCU.
It's the Tony Stark origin story. Cocky, self, whatever you want to call it, conceited, kind of a dick to people, loses everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Builds it back.
Strikes.
Yeah, builds it back in a very different way for sure, but similar arc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw this. Actually, this was the second date me and my wife ever went on. First movie we ever went and saw together,
baby.
In Reno, in Reno, at IMAX, and we watched this.
Oh.
And we both loved it just because, dude, the visuals, it was the first time the MCU had ever done anything like that for the visuals. And watching it in IMAX, it was like putting you in a trance. It was so, I just loved it. I could watch those action scenes, the mirror dimension, when the Ancient One's fighting in the first scene and all the buildings are pulling an Inception all over them. I thought it was just so freaking creative. And I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Dormammu even works for me in the sense that it was a massive comic book entity. Like, how are you going to put that in the movie in 2015, whenever this was, 2014? How are you going to do that in a way that doesn't look goofy? And I felt like they actually used him really well. We only really saw him for like 2 minutes, but he was an intimidating presence, and his facial acid trips that were going on with it, I don't know, it kind of worked for me. I just thought it was super interesting and like a creative concept, and I liked the whole thing where he sets the time stone and he keeps repeat dying. It all worked for me for sure. It's definitely higher up on my list.
That was a clever way for the hero to get the victory. Sometimes they could struggle with a fun way for us to win. So that was a good way to do it.
Unique. Yeah.
Unique New York. Okay, so fifth to last on my list, and it is only on my list, is Shang-Chi.
Oh, people are going to hate you.
Yes, so...
He's a good guy at heart, guys. Oh, all the people on social media and everything.
So, and let me remind you that all these bottom fives, even the worst of the MCU is still watchable. It might have slipped into the bottom five, but it's not a bad
You love
rewatch.
them all like children of your own.
It's not a bad rewatch. I love the action. The choreography is amazing. The first 30 minutes really do work for me, but all the dragon mystical stuff did not land at all. The end credit scene was fine. I'm excited to see him talking to the other Avengers and his role in the bigger picture. And I love the character. Shang-Chi himself, the dude plays Shang-Chi really well. It's a solid character. And his kung fu is really refreshing in the MCU, especially when they do it at a Winter Soldier level. I mean, that some of those fights on the bus and stuff, or swinging from scaffoldings to buildings, fighting with that purple neon light in the background, some sick action. So I
didn't care for the second half of the movie, really.
I didn't really care about the mystical stuff and the dragon stuff. It's just a little too much for me. I agree
with that.
It's kind of the magic concept too. Magic is a weird thing to pull off on the big screen. It works really well in comics. It works really well in books. But for your Dormammu magic type stuff, John Constantine, I'm concerned about how they're going to do it on the big screen, because it's hard to make other realms believable, spirits and dark dimensions and stuff like that. Same thing with dragons. You know what I mean? These are freaking dragons in the MCU.
Right. Yeah. The third act of the movie is definitely the worst part. Yeah. But if we ever do a top 5 action scenes in Marvel, one of them from this movie could probably make it. But I do agree with the end. They just kind of turned a classic CGI army flying around for all the, side characters to fight. And then you have the two, him fighting his dad, but they resort to CGI instead of having a classic kung fu, well choreographed final fight, which I didn't like that part.
I get that, but you can't have a classic kung fu fight once you bring in the powerful 10 rings and everything.
Yeah.
If they would have done that, it would have been okay, so now you're having Superman and, Wonder Woman just do a slap boxing tournament instead of, or, some super powered ultra beings, I do get that. I think I turned my brain off to that point. I think when I saw dragons coming out of the water, I was like, okay, this is where we're at. This is going to be a wild CGI thing, but it actually worked for me, the third act. And it's weird saying this because it felt like they brought kind of a Dragon Ball Z anime concept onto the big screen, and it actually worked for me. And I don't even watch those shows. I haven't seen an anime show other than, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon back in the day and stuff, but I haven't watched anything. I never watched Dragon Ball Z, but for some reason it just kind of felt like that being brought to live action, and I kind of thought it was cool the way they did it. It wasn't my favorite part of the movie by any means, but I didn't mind it. I thought Trevor, bro, I love Trevor. I'm a sucker for Trevor, so you bring that dude in, his scene in the car where he's explaining the Planet of the Apes and how his motivation to be an actor was because he saw apes riding horses. And Shang-Chi goes to say, wait, you became an actor because you thought the ape, that's right, riding horses, but it turns out they were just acting. And if I thought, an ape could be that good of an actor, then imagine what I could do. Just the whole freaking backstory to it worked so well for me. Trevor's cracked me up since Iron Man 3. He even worked for me in that movie. So that was an awesome spin to this. But like you said, it's tough, man. It's close to beating out Winter Soldier for hand-to-hand combat, because those two fight scenes, the skyscraper scene where he's fighting Death, I forgot what that character's name is, and then when he's fighting on the bus against the Razor Fist dude, like those hand-to-hand combat scenes were insane. So yeah, I enjoyed Shang-Chi. I don't like Awkwafina though. She annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah, not that funny. She's not funny enough to be good at that role. Like she's just there. Make us laugh
too much
if you're gonna be there.
Right.
Yeah, and she's the one who shot the freaking dragon, the arrow into the dragon.
Yeah.
That was the worst part of the movie. That took me
right.
out of it. Yeah.
That's in the third act.
Yeah.
I did like his fight with his dad though. The rings I could buy into. It is Marvel. You can't just have a kung fu. So I hated the dragons, but the rings were sick. So them two, that final fight scene with his dad was really good. But like for me, if the dragon stuff was not in it at all, and the forest that does that thing with the directions,
that was weird.
Stuff like that just really pulls me out of it. So if it would have been cooler to just focus on the 10 rings, have it be more him and his dad oriented, less mysticism. And to round out Caleb's top 5 is Iron Man 3.
And this is my
Top
least
5, huh?
top 5 of the bottom 5. This
Iron
is
Man
my
3.
least favorite movie in all of the MCU.
No.
And basically, the plot of this movie is the death of Tony Stark. Oh, I mean, the retirement that only lasts for until Avengers, when none of the plot of the movie even matters anymore. Can't really fault this movie for that, but I mean, none of the stakes kind of roll over into Avengers. He's just back to being Tony Stark. And he's barely in his suit in this movie, and he doesn't use any of the dope new ones he built. Like, it shows all these badass suits on display, but he never gets in them. And it's panic attack, alcoholic Tony Stark, which I guess is, it's a different side of him, but he's just kind of struggling the whole movie. And the Mandarin fake out, I'm sure JD wasn't a fan of that. No. And I mean, the main villain of this movie is Aldrich Killian, which is probably a bottom 5 MCU villain. Like, Tony just left him hanging on the roof, and he was never the same again. He turned into a villain because of that one night where Tony didn't talk to him, and he just wants to kill the president. That's his thing. He's just trying to take over. And Tony tells the bad guy exactly where he lives, then gets surprise attacked.
Bro.
Like,
Dude,
where's the
put
remote
security
control
up.
suits at now? Like, what's
Put it
going on?
lockdown.
And then he blows all his suits up at the end, and that's never kind of explained. And Gwyneth Paltrow saves the day. She probably didn't even remember she was in the movie. But the pros of this movie is, of course, Robert Downey Jr. Obviously he's great. I mean, that's the reason why I like. It's the worst rare movie, but I don't hate it. Any movie with Robert Downey Jr. in, I will slightly enjoy.
I love the fact that it's the same plot as The Incredibles. That's probably my favorite part of the movie. Literally, like, almost goes just toe to toe with almost goes bar for bar the whole movie with The Incredibles plot. It's pretty funny. I liked it. You're totally right. He wasn't in the suit at all, and that was definitely a tough one to get over. And it is definitely in my lower half of the MCU, but I liked his chemistry with the kid, him and that kid. I really enjoyed all of those scenes going through it. There was more to it that I liked, but I'm drawing up a blank right now. I think, like you said, I think RDJ is enough to keep any movie out of the bottom 5 for me, because I just enjoy the charismatic scenes we get from him no matter what. Anytime he is on the screen, it's a good scene for me. I'm enjoying it. But dude, talk about, and Trevor Slattery worked for me. I thought that was freaking hilarious. Dude's just high as hell, being intimidated, has a gun pointed at him, and he just screams goal. Scares the crowd. He just doesn't care. I freaking loved that scene. It was kind of cool seeing Tony's creativity and, being crafty and taking out that whole house without his Iron Man suit. But the only thing, I didn't mind the Mandarin. I didn't even know who he was. But Aldrich Killian, after I went back and read the Extremis run by JD, who's the writer for that?
It's Warren Ellis.
Warren Ellis, that's right. So after that, after I read the comic, I was like, oh, wow, they really just didn't do that one good on on the movie. That was nowhere near as good of a story as it was in Extremis. But they did name President Ellis after the author, Warren Ellis, there. Because we get the president of the U.S. in that movie. But yeah, it's down there.
And another pro of the movie is Dummy. Those scenes with Tony and Dummy talking crap about him.
It was pretty good.
Him and Favreau too have some funny lines. Is this forehead of security? Yeah, I don't know how to flip the screen. Flip the screen. So Iron Man 3, I hated it when I first watched it. It was by far my least favorite. It's just grown a lot on rewatches because it just starts to feel like a slow episode of a really good series because it is Robert Downey Jr., it's Iron Man. The ending when he brought all of his suits, I thought that was a pretty cool way to get climactic with a hero win. And the slaughtery thing grew on me too. Now that I know it's not the real Mandarin, it's just kind of a funny thing. He was a propaganda tool. It just sucked because it was such a cool villain at first. Like he's just doing this stuff on the news like the Joker would in Gotham. And it's kind of getting in Tony's head and it's making him kind of go crazy. And he has that threat on the camera, that live threat. So that was built up so cool just to have, him be an actor. And again, I don't like the whole thing when they take the powers away from our characters. That's kind of annoying. I want to see Iron Man kick ass. Like, how did he shoot missiles at his house in the first place? How can missiles even get close enough to threaten his house with all the technology he has? And on top of that, he doesn't have a functioning Iron Man suit that could survive a helicopter attack. One helicopter and just one normal man in the helicopter. And that's not Iron Man, so that sucked.
Yeah.
Loved the plane scene too.
Yeah.
When he's fighting that dude who has Extremis, he's wearing the Iron Patriot armor. That's a pretty solid fight. And the creativity of how he got all the people to hold hands so he saved their lives. But then you realize that he was doing that from a boat. That was a cool little twist.
Mm-hmm.
So a little higher on my list.
It was my fifth worst up till 3 months ago when Love and Thunder came in. And then it got bumped up. So it was almost in this episode for me.
All right, well, that wraps it up. My least favorite, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Then we got Black Widow, second to last. Then Thor, Doctor Strange, and Shang-Chi.
All right, I'm going to say it in this way because it makes Thor 4 sound even worse. 32nd place goes to Thor 4, Love and Thunder. 31st, Captain America, the first Avenger. 30th, Thor. 29th, Black Widow. And 28th, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
And coming in at last place for me is Iron Man 3. And then it would be Ant-Man and the Wasp. Following that is Thor, Love and Thunder. Then Thor, The Dark World. And rounding it off is Captain America, First Avenger.
Lovely.
Could have swore Endgame.
What?
All right. Well, kind of fun to talk about the worst of Marvel. We always kind of glorify these franchises and, not all of it's great.
Mm.
And the more we release, we're just going to keep getting higher on that list. 5 at a time. They're going to get better and better until we reach whatever number we have to work with. If it's not a perfect 5, and who knows when we'll get it out, if it's before or after the first or second movie. Again, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at WhySoCitiusPod and email us at whySoCitius@yahoo.com. And look out for part 2 of Infinity, Hickman's Avengers run for our road to Secret Wars. Things are heating up. All the dominoes are put in place for a couple big wars on Earth and in space. And coming up shortly is our ranking of MCU trilogies. So thank you again for joining us on Why So Citius podcast, and we'll see you next time.